I have Harish Salve joining me tonight. I have a lot of legal eagles joining my program, starting with Harish Salve in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, at 9 o'clock tonight, we're continuing the debate. As Rahul Gandhi says, this is all a distraction. Don't distract me with questions on what's happening in Bengal, but the Supreme Court has shred her record of governance, more in the observations than in the order. Once again, I must say, ladies and gentlemen, first I want to go across to Harish Salve, who's joining us tonight. Without doubt, India's foremost jurist, nationally and internationally, joining us tonight. Mr. Salve, good evening. I'm starting straight with you. Before I go to my report, you are fully cognizant of the facts at hand. You may have followed what happened in the Supreme Court and the public sentiment on the issue. May I start by requesting you to put your initial thoughts on how the case is placed?
So there are two things, Arnab, which worry me, because we have heard so much concern being expressed by people in high places about the Constitution being under threat. Let me flag two issues right away. Any constitutional democracy is based on the pillars of institutions. And what we are seeing increasingly in India, in various places, and very sharply in West Bengal, is the collapse of the police as an institution. The police should be loyal to the law, the Constitution, and the Tiranga, and not to its political masters. When the police turns so fiercely loyal to its political masters, we see the kind of collapse and the complete undermining of public faith in the police as has happened. I heard what happened in Supreme Court. I also spoke to the lawyer Aparajita Singh, who I'm very proud to say has been associated with me for long years, on the statistics which persuaded the Supreme Court to pass the order saying the central forces will look after the students. And that's a very strong indictment of the police and the local and the lack of faith in the local system. That is one. The second thing which worries me, Arnab, is have we as a society reached such a low, that our political system cannot come to a common platform on something as basic and as disgusting as what has happened here, as distressing as what has happened here, as disturbing as what has happened here? Are we going to weigh all this in a political weighing scale? Is this how low we have fallen as a people? This collapse in values is the biggest threat to a constitution.
Mr. Salve, the fundamental issue here is now that a state government has taken sides. That the state government has taken sides. They're standing with the police. They're standing with the states, with the hospital authorities. They've almost identified themselves with the people who are complicit in the cover-up. So it's an extraordinary situation.
It is. It is.
What does one do here?
So it's a collapse of. It's a complete collapse of law and order. The state should never take a position in a case like this. The state's only position can be there has been something very serious which has happened, which has affected our young students, not just in our state, but all over India. And we will do all that is necessary to bring back and instill confidence of the people in the police and in the state governance. That's the position a state can take. That's the only constitutionally tenable position a state can take. And I'm afraid that doesn't appear to be the position it is taking.
Yeah, but in this case, Mr. Salve, in this case, sorry to interrupt, in this case, the state government has done everything in its power to make sure that the evidence is tampered with, that the autopsy report is quickly done, that the state government, the authorities of the hospital involved in the cover-up are actually promoted. The individual, the principal was promoted. So that's
I'm happy that CBI has been asked to investigate this. An attempt to interfere with a criminal investigation, and destruction of evidence itself is a serious crime, as you know. And I think the CBI should run this matter to the ground, finding out who are the people, right from top to below, who were complicit or even in the knowledge of this attempt to destroy evidence, and everybody should be brought to book. Unless we do things like this, we are not going to repair the system.
Well, Amit, unless Mamta is made legally liable. Unless she's made legally liable.
Yes. This could be one good situation where a commission of inquiry headed by a tough Supreme Court judge should be appointed to get to the bottom of this. The murder will be investigated, the offense will be investigated, the rape will be investigated, but the collapse of the state machinery and what measures can be taken to prevent that the police doesn't become so partisan.
Yeah.
And the police doesn't become so ineffective.
Yes.
Calls for a thorough inquiry.
Yes.
By a Supreme Court judge.
That's
under a properly guided inquiry under the Commission of Inquiry Act.
So I know you have to go, but that's one major point you made there, Mr. Salve, where you're saying, one, you investigate the gang rape and the murder itself, and secondly, have a commission of inquiry go into the aspect of bureaucratic police or political involvement in a cover-up so that an example is made. That's going to make the West Bengal government really shudder. Should the government look at that? Because my concern is Supreme Court can just come across with some general guidelines which will not be effective. We need to make an example of someone here.
We need to get to the bottom of this and see how deep the rot has set into our systems. And it's not about West Bengal. The West Bengal government should welcome a commission of inquiry because according to them, a lot of what is being aired is politically motivated. If that is true, they'll be exonerated and the inquiry committee will say nothing really went wrong. So I think an inquiry should always be welcome rather than sort of opposed in a situation like this, where according to the West Bengal government, there is an attempt to block the truth or there is an attempt to varnish them in a particular way. This is my view in the matter.
Now, it's very important. It's like saying Sachin Vase couldn't have done what he'd done, Parambir couldn't have done what he'd done without the okay from Uddhav Thackeray. It's as clear as that.
Correct.
That's a very clear line.
And I think,
yes.
I think it needs to be investigated thoroughly.
Well, I think
so that we can fix what's wrong. What's going wrong with our system,
exactly, precisely. Well, I think your words will go a long way, Mr. Salve. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to have you with us.